Okay, let's set up Airtable to use it as a visual database to stage our content, which we can then publish into Webflow. So I'm logged into Airtable. I'm going to create a new base. I can build with AI or I can start from scratch. I would like to start from scratch. We don't want to use this first table. We want to import a CSV. So we'll go to Webflow first of all. So I'm logged into our Webflow site. Go to the blog posts and export. The CSV comes down. I can go back to Airtable. I know that my CSV file has gone to my downloads, so I can grab it from here. I go to add or import. Let's name our base first. And can't delete that table yet. So add CSV file. I'm going to drop in the CSV that I just downloaded. Upload that to Airtable. And then let's establish our data structure inside of Airtable. So we could use table 1, but we don't want to do that because that has an established data structure already. So we want to create a new table. Click next. This is the data that's going to come in, 10 blog posts. We check on these fields. Do we want all of the fields to come in? Yep, because we want to mirror the Webflow data structure into Airtable. Other settings, we have auto select field types. I want to leave that checked on because I want Airtable to have a go at defining the data that it sees in the CSV and what that data might be. So we'll try to get Airtable to categorize the data and use the first row as headers. Yep, because we can establish our labels in our columns. So import and let Airtable do its work. We'll go to table 1 because we don't need that anymore. We'll delete that table, close this down. So we hide our views. We have 10 posts that we pulled in from Airtable, in from Webflow. I see the collection ID, the locale ID. These don't seem super happy. Let's go to number. Let's just go to single line of text. Save that. Doesn't look super happy. Let's change all of these. So we're just changing these to single line of text instead of a number. Then if I open that CSV, let's just fix these. Not super important. Okay, so we've got collection ID, locale ID, and item ID. Just select all these, clear these cells. And let's grab these from, I've just opened this in a spreadsheet locally on my machine. I'm on a Mac, this is the Numbers app. Pasted those in, and those seem happier. And that's not important visually at the moment, but if we start to automate things from this base, and we're not able to reference the collection ID or the item ID, then that would be a problem. That would break the automation. So that was important to fix that on the import. So let's see what we have then. We've got 10 posts. It mirrors these 10 posts. Now we want to begin to gather data into our database so that we can begin to add content into the base and then create blog posts and push it back into Webflow again. So that's what I want to cover just now. So to do that, we may use the Chrome extension here. Okay, so to get the web clipper, we could search Google for Airtable Google extension. Here's the Chrome Web Store link. So I have already, so you would just click to add it. And remember, when we add a Chrome extension, when we first add it, we might find that we confirm and then it disappears from this area here. We can hit the jigsaw piece and go down and find the extension. So here's the web clipper. And I can unpin or pin it to show or hide it in my Chrome browser. So let's go and set up the Chrome extension. If I just take away the one that I have already, remove this, just refresh this page. Okay, so that's a blank Airtable web clipper, and we want to use this Chrome extension to pull data in. If we are using the web clipper to research content, we may pull content ideas into a base and then use AI to repurpose these later on. Maybe we go to a post which talks about a structure for a particular piece of copywriting strategy, or how to structure a piece of writing, or how to structure a blog post. We could go to that, pull it into our Airtable, and then use ChatGPT or Perplexity to take the content from that post and then help us to establish a content structure. And then we can add in content that we want to create along those lines. So just different ideas for grabbing data from the web, using the web clipper, bring it into the base, and then we can start to repurpose it. So let's set up the clipper. We go to extensions on the far right and click add an extension. If we just type in clip, you see the web clipper here, you can click add, and then we need to set it up. So let's close that for now. And if we go to the right-hand side, let's X out of this so we've got some screen real estate. And let's just say that we are going to go to a YouTube video to grab, for the purposes of this case study, let's take some YouTube videos, publish the YouTube video to the site, add a description or a summary of the video, and publish that to Webflow. And that helps us to understand how to take content from the web, bring it into our database in Airtable, repurpose that content, and then create a post which we can then push back into Webflow. So it's just a helpful understanding of how to take data and push it into Webflow. So let's set up the extra fields that we'll need to grab the data from a YouTube video. So let's start with the URL. So YouTube URL, and then we're not going to use a line of text. We're going to, or a long text. We're going to use a URL, define it as such. Create field. Let's take a long text and we'll call this description. And then let's get the YouTube title as well. So we've got 3 data points that we can grab using the web clipper. So let's set up the web clipper to get those things now. Okay, so we'll call this YouTube research. Table to add records to is the only table we have, which is imported table. Let's go over here, rename the table. Let's call that content staging. So that's updated over here. So add that to the extension. Okay, good. So let's look at what's being pulled in here. So 3 fields at the moment. Let's say the first one should be YouTube URL. That comes from the page URL. Let's say the second one should be the YouTube title. We'll take that from the page title. And let's say the third piece of data, let's get the YouTube description. I just call it description. Let's keep things easy. Understandable, YouTube description. So we'll go and grab the YouTube description and we'll say that that's the selected text on the page. So if we go to a video now, I refresh this page, hit pause, click the extension, and we would see that we can get the URL from this page, which ends in VG. That's there. The YouTube title. We could clean this up here, or we could use AI to do it later on. So let's just clean this up for now while we're in manual mode. And the YouTube description we don't have. Okay, so to get that, we can come down here, open up the description, the YouTube description, and we can see 5 must-know rudiments. Let's take this. Got a URL, the title, let's clean up the title. Again, just while we're in manual mode. And then we've got this description. So let's add the record. And if we show that in the Airtable, it's going to open up in a new tab. We already have our tab, so we can go back here. I'll click on the line that we're looking at and hit space just to open up the post. Let's do this slightly differently as well. Let's add in the title to clean it up, because this left-hand column is empty here. So just for clarity, let's add in the blog post title, and we'll take that from the page title as well. So I'll just right click on that line, delete that whole line, go back to YouTube again, clean up the title, add the records, back to Airtable. Okay, so we've got a title now. We have a URL, YouTube title, and a YouTube description. So let's see if we can begin to build this out then. So just staying in manual mode just now, we'll just use a couple of tools to create some content, and then we'll have a look at how to take the content that we've created as a post and push it back into Webflow again. We're not using any automation at the moment. We're just going to download a CSV and push the CSV back into Webflow. And then let's use the tools manually just now just to build out this post. So we're going to need, the link will be created automatically when we upload to Webflow. The collection ID will be created or applied automatically, as will these data points here. So we need an image. So if we go to ChatGPT and let's do a new chat here. And we'll just say, let's get the content first. Let's bring some order to this. So if we just say a perplexity summary, and then we could say ChatGPT rich text. I'll show you why that would be relevant. And we'll call this long text, enabled rich text there. Summary will have to be long text also. Not so important for the rich text at that point. Okay, so we have, let's go to Perplexity first. So let's grab the URL, go to Perplexity, and we can say, summarize this video. Let's see what this comes up with. Okay, so let's grab this, take it into Airtable, hit return to open that point there. And we'll clean out the source. Let's find this now. So we're just taking everything from Perplexity. Hit space to open this up. We can have a quick look at it. Okay. So I want to use ChatGPT now to format this properly so that I can have I can wrap the headings in HTML, wrap the body content in HTML, and just so that we get some structure so that when we push the post into Webflow, then it renders correctly within the post with formatting. I will ask for the sources to be removed. We're going to add the video into the post anyway, so it'll be clear where the post is being drawn from. So let's go to ChatGPT. So if I just take this, I copy ChatGPT, format this post, please, or import into Webflow. Formatting the post using HTML formatting. Remove the source reference from the end also. Okay, so we gave a very short prompt. We dropped in all of our Perplexity export or Perplexity output. And we'll see what this comes up as now. I just see that there's a div reference at the beginning and the end, and we actually just want the formatting. We don't need to wrap it in a div. So we're just walking through this process manually so that we can, when we come to the automation stage, then we kind of know some of the extra prompts and inputs that we need to give to the automations to make it work smoothly. So let's copy this now. That looks good. ChatGPT rich text, hit return, paste. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's set up some views. I'll click on views and then I'll click it again so that it becomes sticky. It stays there. And right now we have 11 posts. We know that 10 of them have already been published. So let's bring some order to our table now. So if we go to the far right-hand side, if we add in, say, a publishing stage, and then we're going to use a single select. And if we say draft content, send to Webflow, Webflow draft, Webflow published, something like that. We'll start with that just now. And if we say select the first one, because we know that all these are published in Webflow already, and we'll drag this down all the way, and we can just change the last one. Click on hit return when we're selected on that particular data point. We can say send to Webflow because that's ready to go to Webflow. In fact, let's grab an image. So if we go to ChatGPT, may have to change the model for this. Okay, I'm creating an image. It's fine. Okay, that's good. Try again with text. Okay, YouTube. And got some spelling errors in there as well. Try once more. We might use that one. Okay, do that one. Let me just get this downloaded. Save image as. Okay, right click, save image as. Okay, so that happened the last time I did it as well. I updated the title and it sent it down in a funny format. How about if I say PNG? Yeah, okay. So it's just my fault because when I changed the title, I didn't define the file as a PNG. I guess that's what happened. And then my laptop wasn't recognizing it as an image. So if we go over to our post here, and let's just say we have an image field here. So the image fields that were defined when we downloaded the CSV are here. Now that's fine. Those are image links, but that's not going to work for us just now. So we need to add on, let's just say to the right here, insert right. So we're not dealing with a URL yet. We're using an attachment. So post image attachment. And if we say the file type is an attachment, create field, and then we can upload this one. Upload file. Okay, good. If I hit space, I can view the whole post. Be careful when you're using the space shortcut because you can start to add characters in if you hit space again to close this down. So I tend to use a keyboard shortcut of space to open this up. And then once it's open, I just for safety, I just click the X rather than using space to close it again. Okay, so we've added an image attachment. Let's get the URL for that. Now, we need to be smart about this. With Airtable attachments, image attachments, Airtable uses what's called an expiring URL. They don't want us to be able to use Airtable in the way that we might use Amazon S3, where we can store web assets and load them into our website by linking from the storage in Amazon S3. And Airtable have put an end to that hot linking by having expiring URLs, so that we need to refresh the URLs for attachments. They only last about 2 hours, roughly 2 hours, I'm told by everywhere I read online. It's roughly 2 hours. So what we need to do is, if we were to stage all of our posts and then go come back the next day and then go to load them into Webflow, the attachments would have expired, depending on our workflow. If we download the content, hold it for 24 hours, and then go to push it into Webflow, the links would have expired. And so we need to have a workflow when we take content from Airtable to push it into Webflow. We need to do it relatively soon after we download the data, so that the URLs stay live while we push the images into Webflow, and then they're stored on Webflow servers, and then it doesn't matter after that. So we're going to do that with an automation. So if we go to automations on the top nav here, and we're going to add a trigger. So let's just say when a record enters a view, let's do it that way. If we go back to data for a second, we have one view at the moment, but what we have done is we've established the ability to define different views by creating this data point, which is the publishing stage. So if we go to the grid view and we hit duplicate, then let's call this send to Webflow. And we'll change the views, but for now, we'll call this send to Webflow. We'll filter our records to see where the publishing stage is sent to Webflow. So we have one post in here, and this is the post that we're dealing with. I just escaped to come out of that there. Okay, so we need to configure the automation. So what we want to do is we want to say, Airtable, when a record enters a view, we want you to grab the URL, make it available to us, and then allow us to download it and use it. That's basically what we're saying. So we want to create a downloadable URL when a record enters a view. So for example, our workflow would be, we've staged our posts. When we're ready to download them and push them into Webflow, then we would move them or change the publishing stage, which would move them into a view. Let me show you that while I'm talking. So this one here is sent to Webflow. So we can make this, say, draft content. And okay, so this post here is draft content, and there's nothing in the sent to Webflow view. And we want to use when the record moves into this view, we want to recognize that as a trigger for the automation. It's also one of the triggers that we use when we automate in Zapier or in Make, that we can use this way of triggering a function as well. So let's change this. Draft content goes to sent to Webflow, which means that record appears in this view, and we can use that as a hook or a trigger. So the table is content staging, the view is sent to Webflow, and we want to choose the record. So just for test purposes, we've chosen the only one that we have there. Okay, so we've set the trigger, and it says step successful. So add advanced logic or action. So we want to say update record. And so we could add a description, but we'll just say update record, select the table, content staging. What's the record? The record is the one that came in through the first step. So insert a link, it's the base. No, it's the Airtable record ID. Okay, so which record? It's the Airtable record ID. And then what do we want to update? We want to update something that we haven't defined yet. So let's do that. So post image attachment, let's insert right, and we'll say that this is going to be a URL, and it will be image download URL. So go back to the automation, and we can say which field do we want to update? We want to update the image download URL. And what is that data that we want to put into there? Well, we want to go to the attachment, post image attachment, and we want to click on this drop down. I want to modify it. No, display URL. So these are the different styles of URL that we could get. And if you leave it as it is at the moment, then the URL that it would give us would be a link to an Airtable page, which displays the image in a gallery format. That's no use to us. We need a link to the actual image. So we want to go and select expiring download URL. And that way, we're able to trigger an automation when the record moves into a view, which grabs the downloadable URL and gives us a window of a couple of hours to push this data into Webflow. So we could do preview without updating, generate the preview, and if we scroll all the way down, we can see that the image download URL would be this. I'm not sure if this will work because it's a preview, but okay, so that works. That's great. So let's go ahead and turn this on and go back to data. So right now, this record, because it was already in Send to Webflow, and because when we tested it, we just generated a preview. We didn't have the action go ahead and carry out the URL update. So we go back to here, move it to draft content, and then come back to Send to Webflow. You can see that this image download URL has just populated. If I hit space, we can grab this. I'll test this one again. And that's our URL. So now we have a URL that we can actually use when we push the content into Webflow. So let's do that now. So again, we're in manual stage. We're not fully automating yet, but we have built our Webflow site. We've established the data structure in Airtable, and we're creating a post using our no-code tools, but in a manual fashion to begin with, and then we can automate this process later on. So let's do this then. Let's take this one record that we have here, and we want to download it as a CSV. If I did the grid view and download, then all of these posts would come down. But we actually just want the one that is new. And if we use our staging here, then that shows us the one post that is still to be published to Webflow, and we can download that. So we're in the view that we want to be in. And then if you look to here, Send to Webflow, and then a drop-down arrow there, that allows us to download a CSV of the filtered view, the filtered records that we want. And I can see that that's only one. So that's really good. We've got this warning, attachment links expiring, and that's okay. This CSV contains attachment columns with links that expire after a few hours. Learn more about expiring links. We're not worried about that. We can hit OK, and we're preparing the CSV for download, and down it comes. So back to Webflow. So we want to navigate, if we weren't there already, we navigate to the CMS on the left-hand side, go to blog posts, and we're going to import. So this is just a way that we can upload bulk data into Webflow using a manual process, which is sometimes faster, or there can be a use case for the manual steps to take bulk data out of Airtable and push it into Webflow manually. There's situations where I use the CSVs to go back and forward and just helps me to move very quickly with bulk data. But we can also automate this process as well, so we can do it one by one. So let's get the CSV file, which only has one post, and let's see what this looks like. So we have to be careful here because there's some crossover between the data structure. So if we were mirroring the data, we've added columns in Airtable, but if we were to mirror the data structure, we'd be able to pull down the data in a CSV from Airtable and push it straight into Webflow, and it would be structured accordingly. But we'll make a few changes. So is this your CSV's header row? Yes, it is. So we can continue. If we had taken all 11 posts from Airtable and pushed them in just now, Webflow is smart enough to recognize that some of these posts exist already, and we would have a query. Do you want to upload them all as brand new posts, or do you want to update the ones that exist here already? And we can make a choice then. So in this instance, we have one post coming up. Yes, this is the header, hit continue. And then we need to structure our data, map the columns. You may well have seen this in different tools when you're working with CSVs, but we need to map the data into the correct place in Webflow. So let's do that. First of all, I know that I need to look for the images, and I'll say images, don't import. And then we can go to our download URL and use that one. Map to existing field, and we'll say that's the featured image. The blog post author, I don't think I defined. Okay, YouTube URL. Okay, let's do this. Let's cancel the import for a second, and we'll go to blog posts, and let's just create a post to take the YouTube URL. So I've come into the CMS on the left-hand side, go to blog posts, add field, and we'll call this a video link. And then we'll say YouTube URL, save field. Let's move this up to the top. Put it above blog post. Save the collection. Okay, and then let's import again. Okay, images first. Don't import these images because they would be blank. Okay, YouTube URL goes to YouTube URL. That's good. And then blog post. Do not import the blog post rich text. ChatGPT. Okay, so ChatGPT rich text goes to blog post rich text. Okay, that's good. So we can see the post on the right hand side now. Blog post featured image. Did we get that right? Image download URL needs to go to featured image. Okay, so that's fine. That's coming. That's good. I can't map the image to two different fields. So if I wanted to map that same image to two different fields, then I would have to create another column in Airtable to manage that. Okay, we've got the YouTube URL. That's good. We've got the blog post content, and we won't worry about these toggles or the categories. I should have put in a column for the author. We could have done that, but that's okay. So let's import the blog post. Do we want to create a backup? I tend to do that every time. So importing the CSV into blog posts, and then we'll take a look, see how we've gone on. Okay, so we're staged for publish. We'll go to the page. Top left, we click on home, which is the page we're looking at. And then we'll want to go down and select blog post template. Okay, so we're in good shape. This is the post that we've uploaded. There's some empty data here. Let's go and have a look at this. So if we click on the cog, that says it's the published date, published on. Okay, so when that publishes, then that will be updated automatically. That's good. And this one here is probably the author. Yeah, so I missed that out. That's fine. And we've got this post here, but without the video. And I'd like a video to be in here. So let's just do this quickly. We'll make a quick change to the layout of this template. Okay, click on the rich text, hit Z to open the navigation panel. Click on div block, and let's add in another div block. So I can do Command E, which is a shortcut on the Mac, likely Control E. Let's try that on Mac as well. Control E does the same thing. So if you're on Windows, you can use Control E, or we can do the menu bar on the left. So we've clicked on div block, and inside this div block, then we want to drop in another div block, and inside that, we'll add in space for a video. So we'll walk through this just now then. So div block here, we can hit plus and div block and open the navigation panel again, and that's given us a div block. If I just go back a step so that we can use the keyboard shortcut to do that instead. So I'll hit Command Z to go back. Let's do that again. Click on the rich text, use Z to open the navigation panel, click on div block, and then I'm going to use Command E or Control E to open this dialog window, and then I can just type in div and hit return, and that's given us a div block in this space. So let's drag it into place. So above rich text, and then we're clicked on this div block. So let's do that again. So Command E or Control E to open this up, and if we say video, we want to put a video in there, and that's nested inside the div block. Okay, so let's do two things first. Let's style the div block. If we just say Command and return or Control and return, takes us to the style selector on the right hand side, and let's call this div block a video wrapper, just in case we want to style this later. We may want to put spacing, margin, and padding around it. And by defining it as its own video wrapper, you might even say blog post video wrapper so that it's targeted to this particular page. Then we give it its own title so we can style that block, style that div block, and that would mean then that other div blocks are not affected when we start to style that. So video wrapper, we won't change the styling on it, but we can do later if we need to. And then let's go to the video, and we would say, so that this doesn't appear as a blank video, we need to map it to the CMS. So hit the cog, and we could put a URL in there. If we paste a URL into that spot there, then on this page, regardless of the blog post, then we would have the same video, and we don't want that. So we want to map it by clicking on the purple. Remember, purple is our visual cue to connect to the CMS, and then we can select YouTube URL. And that just takes the YouTube link that we saved with that uploaded post, and now it's taking the video at that link and rendering it here. But what do we do then when we have a post that has no YouTube video? So we want to say, if there is a YouTube video link, then we want to show this. And if there is no YouTube video link, then we don't want to show this. So let's style this just now then. So we click on the video, open the navigation panel, go to video wrapper, and we're going to go to settings here and scroll down. And we want to say conditional visibility. We want to say, click on plus to set a rule, and we'll say element is visible when we go to YouTube URL. Element is visible when the YouTube URL is set. So that means if it's present, we show this div block on the screen. We're styling the video wrapper. We're not styling the video. And so we're saying that if the YouTube URL is present or if it's set, then we're going to show this video wrapper. And we click save. So that means that's visible now on here. And if we go to a different post, I have to click away from that first. Go to a different post and we'll see what that looks like. So there is no video, but we click here. We'll go to the video wrapper. And you can see it, it's visible, it's present in the navigation panel, but it's not present on the screen. And that's good for us. So let's go back to our post. That looks good on the page now. And let's go and publish this post. Okay, so if we go back to the CMS, we are looking at the page view just now, but we want to go back to the CMS, go to the blog posts. This is staged for publish. Click on that post, and then we can say, I would have been able to click on publish. The reason I can't click on publish is because we've made layout changes to the blog post template. So we need to publish the entire site first. We can publish to the staging area, and then we can come back and publish this post. Okay. So if we do that now, go to pages is the easiest way to reveal this option. Cross to the right-hand side and click publish. We're not publishing to our main or custom domain because we haven't defined that yet. even so, we could uncheck the checkbox for our main domain and just publish to staging. Publish now, and let that publish, and then we'll go back to the CMS and we'll be able to set that post to published. Okay, so that's done now. Let's just open that page. Go back to the CMS, blog posts, click on that top one, drop down, and we can publish. Okay, it says it's published, but it's just showing staged for publish. So let's just refresh the page. Seems a bit quirky. CMS blog post, it is published. Okay, that's fine. So this is the tab that I opened a second ago. And we can see that that video is there. We can click play and it's good to go. It's going to show an ad. Okay, it's published. Okay, so this one, because we published the post, then it's dynamically pulled in the publish date. And if you remember, we just didn't upload my name as the author. So let's go to the author section of this particular post. And one thing that's changed recently in Webflow is that this post is showing a link to another CMS collection. So CMS collections on the left-hand side. We've been dealing with blog posts, and this other one is team members. So previously I would have to come in here, and I've already added my name here. But if I was to take this and let's come back a step, let's delete this. So we hit select Graham and delete. And Graham is gone, he's out here. So the only authors or team members are John and Sophie. And what's changed recently is that you can actually make updates within the CMS without having to go to the separate CMS. And then same with the content on here. You can actually interact with this content and make updates here, and then it'll push the changes back into the CMS as well. As opposed to how we used to work, is that you used to have to come into the CMS, go to the particular post, and then work within this window here to update rich text, for example. So what we can do now is we go to blog post author, we go to pick a team member, and this guy is not there, so I can hit plus. We're adding Graham or me to the team members CMS collection without having to navigate there. I'm not sure that we're going to need a picture just now. Let's pop that in anyway. And I won't fill out the rest of that data just now. So we click create. And so now Graham is defined as that post author. If we go back to the page and look at the page, and maybe we need to go to the team members. Yeah, stage for publish. So publish that guy. Republish your site. Okay. So it wants us to republish the site before we can go back to that one. So let's do that again. Publish to staging, and then we'll go back to the CMS, and that should sort out that missing data on this post. Okay, not yet. So go back to team members. That's published now. Go back to that page. Refresh this page. Okay, so it doesn't seem to have saved that. So we'll go back to blog posts and check my post. All the way down. Okay. So maybe it just dropped it because I wasn't published yet. Maybe that's what it was. Save. That has stage changes. We should be able to go straight into that and publish. Okay, so a little bit of troubleshooting there to make that happen. And that's rendered properly now. And I wish I'd put my face in looking the other way. And maybe I'll do that later on. And we can publish the site. And click the arrow to go and view the page. Okay, so we've got our posts on the page. and we're published. We've got a video. We're showing this video panel when the video is present, and we're hiding that video panel when the video is not present. So if there is a URL, we can publish it. If there is no URL, it doesn't matter. We'll just hide it automatically. And we've shown how to go to Airtable and stage our content and push it into Webflow. And then when we go to this post, and we could just say, let's make a duplicate view, or if we duplicate this other view, because it already has a filter on it, we would say Webflow published. So that if we were automating the process, we could take the content from Airtable, push it into Webflow, and then we could have the automation also update Airtable once the post is successfully published. So if we do that manually now, Webflow published, and we just need to change the filtering here. And so now we've got our post is present here with all of the other published posts. So we've downloaded content from Webflow. We've uploaded the CSV into Airtable to establish an initial data structure. We've created a post using our no-code tools, and then we have downloaded a CSV and uploaded it into Webflow. And in this example, we've made some layout changes. We've added an author. We've added in a layout change for the video so that we can post the video at the top of the post. And so the process now, if I was to create, say, 10 or 20 or 30 posts in Airtable, we could download the CSV and push them all in there, and they'd be in Webflow with all of those layout changes already made. So that's a good place to get to. Let's pause there for now.